What is up, and welcome back to 24 Minutes of the Oscars, the podcast that takes a look at the 2023 Oscars 24 minutes at a time. I'm Ethan Simi.
And I'm Ben Lawhorn. This week on the pod, we are feeling the need for speed as we play dogfight football on the beach and talk about the movie that Steven Spielberg himself says saved the theatrical experience. We're talking, of course, about Tom Cruise's Top Gun Maverick.
We're going into combat on a level no living pilot's ever seen. Not even him.
You think up there you're dead. Believe me.
My dad believed in you. I'm not gonna make the same mistake.
Someone's not coming back from this.
Those are your pilots. Anything happens to them.
Smoke in the air!
You will never forgive yourself.
No turning back now.
Come on! Jeez! Having any fun yet?
After 30 years, Maverick is still pushing the envelope as a top naval aviator, but must confront ghosts of his past when he leads Top Gun's elite graduates on a mission that demands the ultimate sacrifice from those chosen to fly in it. I haven't read that logline until now. That's a badass logline for a movie.
Oh, yeah.
That's sick, dude. That rocks. This is it. This is the final Best Picture nominee that we are talking about. We've been doing this for 10 weeks before the biggest night in Hollywood. This is number 10. Best Picture nominee number 10, Top Gun Maverick. Quite honestly, we saved the most fun for last. Kind of going out with a bang here. And like every single episode, we have an incredible guest joining us. We've got Adam Palcher from the Deep Dive Film School podcast. Adam, welcome to the pod, man. How you doing?
Doing very well. Thanks, gentlemen, for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
I'm
Absolutely.
so stoked to have you here. Anyone that's listened to my other podcast, 3 Films, Palcher's been on a few times, lovingly and genuinely referred to as our podfather because we wouldn't exist without him. So, if you like this, if you like 3 Films, please go check out Deep Dive. You guys have been doing it for like over a decade, right? Like you guys have been going for a while.
Yeah, our first episode was in 2007, if you can believe it.
Fuck me, that's crazy.
Damn.
15 years.
That's crazy.
And running. So yeah, we recently, probably in the past couple of years, reformatted into Deep Dive Film School, but for a long time, me and him have been doing it for a long time, but yeah, excited. YouTube's our main thing, so go hit us up there, or Instagram. Those are the 2 most active channels that we have, but appreciate the invite and excited to talk about this film.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. This is going to be a blast. Thanks for joining us for this. I rewatched Top Gun Maverick, and I tweeted this, so if you follow me on Twitter, you would have seen, but I just feel like every 5 or 6 minutes, I was just like, fuck, man, they did it. They did it. They fucking did it. Like I said that to myself for 2 hours, where I was just like, every scene, I was just like, they did it. We'll get into it. We'll get into the scenes. We'll get into the movie. Adam, first I got to ask you, we ask all of our guests kind of, what's their relationship with the Oscars? We are talking about the Oscars, the Best Picture nominees. Do you watch the Oscars? Do you watch all the nominees? How do you plan to watch it this year? If you plan to do so, give us a little insight.
Yeah, honestly, I fucking love the Oscars.
Yes.
Some people have called it my Super Bowl because I care about it that much more than the Super Bowl, unless my team's playing, I guess. But I've loved it since I was a kid. I've always loved the pageantry of it, just I don't know. I just feel for the filmmakers who are there repping their films and something they work so hard to get, and in some instances decades. Scorsese didn't get it till he was in his 60s, I think. So I don't think it's necessarily anything everyone always tries to strive for, but I do think it's an interesting measuring stick for what's considered good for that year. So I think it has fallen off a little bit, if I'm being honest. I think once they went to 10 Best Picture winners, that really kind of took away like the badge of honor that was the best picture.
The prestigiousness, yeah.
Yeah, and I just that would, like, walking through Blockbuster as a kid and knowing that was the best picture on the cover, that was like not many films had that, luxury to have that. So I kind of, I don't think we would have stuff like Maverick and Avatar 2 and Elvis and stuff like that in the best picture category if we didn't move it to 10. Like, I think those are good films that made a shit ton of money. So I don't know. It's kind of fallen off a little bit for me, but I still enjoy it. I still try and watch everything that gets nominated, because I do think it's important, even though a lot of people probably don't.
I think that's a great call. I mean, we've talked about that on here before too, when it comes to reviewing the movie. And I've said that same thing. It's like, I don't know. My stipulation, like, I don't know if this would have made the 5, like pre 2008. I don't know that this would have been one of the 5 best, now we're up to 10, or this year it had to be 10. And it's an interesting point. And I think you're right, where it's like, they kind of fell off by adding so many, even though I think their intent was to, like, get more people. Cause it's like, hey guys, we have, Black Panther and now we have, like, Top Gun Maverick, like, everyone come watch it. But it's weird. It's kind of had like a reverse effect. There is something that's, like, kind of prestigious about having just 5, just being one of the 5 nominated. So that's a super good call.
Here's the thing. It fell off when they stopped showing clips. We got to show clips. You go to the Oscars to watch clips of the movies, man.
Yeah.
That's what you do. I read this fascinating piece on The Ringer today about how to fix the Oscars, and I just want to quickly mention this. Go seek it out and go read it. But essentially, the person that wrote it came up with this idea. You break the Oscars into 3 distinct segments. You start early. The problem is not that the show runs too long, it's that it ends too late, right? So you start early. You start at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. That's 2:30 in the afternoon on the West Coast. You start early. You have 2 hours. You get a cinephile show. You get someone that people that cinephiles really like to host. You get all the below-the-line stuff. We care about that. We watch it. We have a good time. You get a 1 hour, essentially a quote-unquote halftime break, where at an off-site location, you get a crowd and you perform all 5 best original songs. You essentially have a Super Bowl halftime. That is just pure entertainment, just a delight to watch. And then for the final 2 hours, you come back and you have the main event. You have someone famous. You have Samuel L. Jackson host. You have someone that is in the culture, Denzel host and whatever, and then you do all the above the lines. And what I thought was really fascinating is that they had mentioned, like, it's the uncertainty of not knowing when an award is going to be handed out, right? So people just tune out because then you can just find out on Twitter in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. It doesn't matter. You don't need to watch it. If they had a ticker on the side, kind of like ESPN does, where they're like, you know what, next up, we're doing Best Original Screenplay. After that, we're getting Best Supporting Actor, whatever it may be. Then you're more inclined to be like, hey, I got to tune in. This is what I want to watch. This is what I'm interested in. And that's how you get your big event. I think that is a fucking fantastic idea. I don't know if you guys, what you might think of that, but I read that and I was like, okay, we have 6 days to implement this. Let's figure it out. You guys on board with that?
That's a lot of changes. I mean, I think it could be. There's some necessary stuff. Let's just try it. What's honestly the worst thing that's going to happen? Play with the graphics. Have the count. The timer that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's a lot there. It's kind of like the NBA All-Star Weekend or something. Like, everyone gets bored of the game, so now they want to spice it up and do it a little different, and people can't figure it out because there's that tradition behind everything and the elegance of the Oscars, and that could take away from it from some reason. But I wouldn't necessarily mind having 10 best pictures, but maybe break it up like the Golden Globes does, and have a comedy section, or have it be a little more genre specific, because right now it's just best picture, and generally that's almost always a drama.
Right.
Yeah, that's a really good call. Yeah, I think that stuff would be interesting. Again, there are people like the 3 of us who, I'd be on my couch at 2:30 just for the day, ready to watch it all, but there are other people who okay, I'll be there at 6, once they start doing, the acting awards and that kind of stuff. So like Adam said, what are you gonna get, worse ratings? It's come on, let's give it a shot. What was it that streamed on the Netflix on YouTube? Was that the SAG Awards?
Yeah,
Like,
I think that was the
did,
SAG Awards.
That did pretty well, and it was nice to not have these people get cut off by music too.
Yeah.
Where it's like, all right, we got to go. It's like, yeah, let these people talk for a while.
Now that would be interesting, having a pure streaming version of it, because really all the restrictions are because it's live TV, right? Like if it's something else, if it was just like on, I think they do it with MLS now on Apple TV and Thursday Night Football on Amazon. Like there's ways you can do it. Like Chris Rock just did a live comedy special this past weekend on Netflix. The first time I've seen Netflix do something live. So like, you're leaning into that crowd anyway. It's not like some old curmudgeons are watching the Oscars, because they probably aren't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I caught the last 20 minutes of the Independent Spirit Awards because they were streaming on YouTube. Because like I was following on Twitter and people were like, "Oh, Charlotte Wells just won for best debut," and I was like, "Yo, can I watch this on YouTube?" And I just like flipped it on, watched it for the next 25 minutes. It was sick. It was awesome, and like got to watch a lot of cool acceptance speeches, and that was a lot of fun. So I think there's obviously a lot of changes that could be made come next year when we're inevitably doing this again. I'm curious to see what we're talking about. I'm curious to see if anything does change. Top Gun Maverick saved cinemas, even if the Oscars can't be saved. Gun Maverick saved the theater industry, the theatrical release. Steven Spielberg mentioned it himself, told Tom Cruise, "Thank you for your contribution. You did it." And I want to talk about Top Gun Maverick because this movie fucking rocks. I'm curious, Adam, where does this fall in like your 2022 rankings, and just give us your short review of Maverick, because we're going to cover all the scenes here in a second.
Cool. It probably fell out of the top 10, but not too far out. It is a totally entertaining movie, and like you said at the beginning, just kind of something. I don't know. I always say this on our podcast and just around when people are like, "Oh, but it's like some dumb big action movie," and I'm like, well, sometimes you just need to watch The Rock save the world. Like,
yeah.
Like I think there's a place for people, or there's a place for movies like that where they don't necessarily, they're just kind of dumb fun, and I think that's okay. That's what like summer blockbusters were made of. Like I remember when The Rock came out, not The Rock, the actor.
The Rock movie?
Michael Bay's The Rock. In the Criterion Collection for a short while. I mean, yeah.
Too many rocks in my analogy here. But I don't know. I think this movie, the reason it was so popular, and, I think we can call a spade, but most movies have a liberal bent to it, right? And there's a reason why this is so popular, because a lot of people that go to movies or want to see movies, half the people don't necessarily think it's talking to them, right?
Yeah.
And so, this movie has like, I'm proud to be an American, like playing throughout it, but it's not blasting in your face, right? And so I think a lot of people can just relate, have fun with this movie. Technology and Tom Cruise himself, both of those things have gotten a lot better at making these kind of movies since 1986, when the original one happened. And, you either have nostalgia wrapped up into it, or you, even if you don't have nostalgia wrapped up into it, they still do an awesome job of kind of letting you know what happened without feeling like you're not included. A lot of movies try and do this reboot or soft reboot or whatever you want to call it, and it's kind of like eye rolling, but they really pull it off here. I had a ton of fun with this movie.
Yeah, without a doubt. This was, I don't know where it falls in as a movie overall with my 2022 rankings, but I think without a doubt, it's easy to say it's like a top 3 theater experience of 2022. Yeah. Like it was so amazing to see in the theater, like that sound, the visuals, all that kind of stuff is amazing. Super fun movie. It was something, I was definitely part of the crowd when it was like mid 2021 and it's like, they're still not releasing it. It's like, dude, just Tom, release it. We all need something. We're all at home. It's like, let us watch it. But he was just like, nope, I'm sitting on it. And it was just like, it got a little annoying. Like, dude, come on. Like how, like it's a sequel. Like but then it comes out. It's like, he was right, man. He was right. This needed to be there for the theaters. It's crazy what he's able to pull off and accomplish. So much fun. I think, Miles Teller was cast really well. And I think, I had a great time watching this.
$1.488 billion at the box office.
Crazy.
It's a lot of money, man. I saw it 3 times in the theater. I saw it on RPX, which is like the Regal premiere experience. I don't know how premiere it is, but the seats rock and they have their own speakers. I gotta admit, yeah, definitely like top 3 theater experience of 2022, like probably of all time. It was
like it.
awesome. It was really, really cool. At home, not the same. Still really cool, not the same. I think too, like, I think what makes this movie really, really special, outside of the obvious, effects of Tom Cruise and like, the narrative around saving the box office and like a legacy sequel and like all of these other attributes, I think to what you were saying, Adam, like you can kind of get out of it whatever you want to put into it. And I think that is something really unique about it, because you can go and be like, dude, like, airplanes and jets and missiles, like this is sick, and Tom Cruise. But then you can also go and be like, this movie is about a man that is hung up on the past, that is haunted by his ghost, that doesn't know how to move on, doesn't know how to have acceptance within a family and a found family and the people that he's wronged and all of these other things. And more specifically, the kind of talking with Ice in his office, I think really plays to that very, very well. So I think you get a lot of good things out of this movie. It sounds fantastic. And I just like, every time I watch it, I can't believe it's real. Like, I can't believe that they're just like, let's go fly some planes. And like, this is real footage. And Joseph Kosinski is kind of a madman for that. And he thought he could do it, and he did it. And that's kind of absolutely wild. So it's nominated. Go ahead.
He had a template for it a little bit, and like honestly, the opening credits, they could have been
shot for
B-roll.
shot.
They could have been B-roll from the first movie. I would have no idea. It looked almost exactly the same. So there's certain things, but that's what made what he did work, is that he took the things that everyone kind of were familiar with and kind of made them his own, and still kept you in the world, but it didn't punch you in the head over it. And it's not Austin Powers 2 where they're saying the same jokes over, and stuff like that. They get Ed Harris to be very close to the guy who kind of replicates there. But I don't know, people just fucking love this movie. Even my wife, before coming in here, she's like, don't talk shit on that movie. I hope you're not. And I wonder if they did this with, remember House of Cards, when Netflix started doing their original series? They literally had like a Netflix equation with their algorithm of what people like, the kinds of movies they like, or shows they like. They like Kevin Spacey. Well, they did back then. Yeah. What kind of movies, who do you like? In this case, Tom Cruise, all of this stuff. So I'm sure they had some Hollywood equation of like, this is easily going to make $1 billion, which it's exceeded. So
they nailed it.
I bet they did. This was number 5 in my 2022 rankings. I just want to say Babylon was ahead of it, Ben. So that happened. But you know what? Still in the top 5. We're still here.
Are we going to see what Adam thinks about it?
I
actually haven't seen Babylon. So
okay.
It's okay. We'll have you back on. Right? We're going to have a Babylon super pod is what we're going to have.
I'll watch it just for Chazelle. So
yeah.
That's good enough for me. That sounds like a win. Join the hive.
Yeah, Ethan takes it as a win when someone hasn't watched it, because at least they're not negative on it yet. So it's like he takes it as a positive. It's like, well, they're not saying anything bad, so I'm thinking as a win.
I'm curious now. Like,
I'm a glass.
Seems like a movie that tears people apart.
Is that also on Paramount Plus now, or is it Peacock? What's it on?
Paramount Plus, I believe, is what it is on. Nice. Yeah, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. What can I say? So if you haven't seen it yet, I view that as potential. The Babylon Hive is recruiting, and we want as many people as we can get. Nominated for 6 Oscars, we've got Best Film Editing, Best Original Song, Best Sound, Best VFX, Best Picture, and Best Adapted Screenplay. Adam, do you think it's going home with any Oscars on March 12th?
I would say it's probably going to go home with one of the technical ones over Best Picture or Screenplay. I just think there's too many other contenders, and depending on what wins Best Picture, or at least a lot of times like a kind of requisite Best Picture is adapted screenplay, right? Like I think Pulp Fiction won that instead of Best Picture because Forrest Gump came out that year or whatever. Like I think a lot of films that were really great and truly original get recognized in the adapted screenplay part. So I don't see it necessarily falling in there. It's definitely not going to win Best Picture. But I could see the editing or one of those technical ones, the sound, all that stuff, all that kind of stuff is stuff that you shouldn't notice anyway. Right.
Yeah.
And so they did a great job with it. I mean, it's really well made.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm with you there. Basically, I think I predicted it out of these 6. I think for sound, but I wouldn't be mad at it for editing because I think like what they pulled off was great. But VFX when you're coming up against Avatar, like that's going to be kind of hard for it to do, especially because like they hit home how much of it was done practically. Like I know there are some VFX, but that's maybe one of the biggest disappointments of the nominations is that it didn't get a cinematography nom because. I mean, they figured out how to get an IMAX camera inside a cockpit. Like it's crazy the stuff that they did.
Yeah.
And the Academy's like, all right, whatever. It's just like, what? Like this is like, it's
Morons.
insane the stuff that we got. So I think that was one of their biggest faults. There are plenty, but that was one of them that really kind of bummed me out. So yeah, I go with sound and possibly film editing.
This is a time to mention the Academy should absolutely incorporate a category that's best stunts or best something to that effect. So Top Gun Maverick can get its due. So we can get some Mission Impossibles in the Academy Awards.
Yeah,
man, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and like other things like Andy Serkis getting nominated and stuff like that. Let's have a section for that.
For
like
mocap,
like
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I love all of that. I think you guys are right. I'm going with best sound. I think Natu Natu has original song pretty locked, but I would not be surprised if this ended up doing a little bit of an upset in this category. I think
Gaga.
It is Lady Gaga, and she is performing. She puts on a show. I think Hollywood loves Lady Gaga. I love Lady Gaga. I think like it could be a big win there. So I could see it taking home song as well.
Yeah, that's a dark horse for song for sure.
Yeah, I think Rihanna's like bigger, but I don't know that she's campaigning the same way Gaga is, and that's something that we've learned is like these people, they like to schmooze, It's like you can get some votes that way. So yeah, it's a great dark horse pick.
Definitely. Let's do true cinema moments because I want to talk through all these scenes that we have here so we can just live this movie over again. Can I start by asking this theoretical question? Because this has kind of been floated out there that Top Gun Maverick is essentially not a dream sequence, but it is a posthumous sequence of Tom Cruise's character, Maverick, when he flies Mach 9, when he flies Mach 10, and he ejects, and he lands in this kind of, circa 1950s type little dive bar, and a kid's eating some Fruit Loops and says, "You're on Earth," and everybody's wearing overalls. A lot of people are like, hey, that was the moment that he died. And since then, everything that transpires, having a really good send-off with ICE and completing the mission and being able to train everybody and do everything the way it should be done is kind of the way that he wanted his life to go. I don't necessarily believe in this theory, but I think it's fascinating. Adam, what do you got on the theory?
I had not heard that before. That's pretty funny. I would love to think it's true, but there's no way it's true.
Yeah, it feels like something that like Neil deGrasse Tyson like tweeted out. It's like, actually, there's no way he would have survived. It's like, yeah, it's a movie, man. Like, totally. Yeah, we know he's not like he wouldn't really survive that, but it's Maverick.
Spider-Man's not really flying through the city on the spider web.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I don't subscribe to it, but it's always fun to hear these people's theories. Like, why does everything have to be so much? It's like, not everything's Fight Club, you guys. Like, it's okay. Like, you can just take it at face value.
Yeah, and haven't we had enough It's All a Dream movies?
Yeah.
It's like,
so tired.
I get the idea behind why someone would maybe want that, because it is like kind of a picture perfect like thing that happens to Maverick here, and like it ties it up in a nice bow, and Jennifer Connelly's still smoking hot. Like, all the things are falling into place for Tom Cruise. So
yeah, I mean, the only reason I bring it up is because they tackled on the rewatchables, and they did that, and they were like, look, Mach 10, you'd be jumping out of this plane at like 6,500 miles an hour. You'd jump into the sky and like your skin would be ripped to shreds. Like you would just die immediately. And I don't subscribe to this at all. I think it's dumb that we have to even like think about movies and like, wait, is it a dream? You want to know what's a dream? Like Vanilla Sky. Like that movie is designed for that. That is the purpose. Let's just leave it to those movies. Like just enjoy Maverick. But I do think it's worth mentioning. If someone hasn't heard it, I hope I blew your mind.
I do also think it's leave it up to the audience. If they think it's a dream, sure, whatever. Like, that's fine. Like, I like when filmmakers leave it a little more obscure and like to you, but I never got that impression watching this.
Yeah.
Nice.
Speaking of it being a dream, we've got the first kind of segment here, flying Mach 10, actually flying Mach, flying Mach 9, actually flying Mach 10. This is so funny. This is such a funny way to start the movie, and every time I watch it, I find more parts that are just like absolutely hysterical to me. And the fact that the guy's like, take that and stick it in your Pentagon budget is iconic. And Ed Harris is really, really good in this role. That's all I want to say.
He's awesome. And that, like, when he flies over Ed Harris and that little like outpost, like the roof comes off and drops, like that's like one of my favorite things of the whole movie. Like it's a little thing. You're like, oh, that was actually really well done. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a really fun opening scene. Honestly, it really wraps you up into kind of where he is now. Like, he's kind of off the beaten path a little bit, you know, doing his own thing, but still working for the government in some way. So it kind of gives you that perspective. But he's still a captain after all of these years, and that's like apparently not a good thing after 30 years. But it's so fun. And you know, of course, he keeps pushing it because he's Maverick. He has to, and like that's why he's so good.
I mean, look, I've seen this movie 4 times, and every time I watch that scene, he hits Mach 10, and I just like fist pump. I'm just like, you did it, man. You hit it, and like he just keeps going, and I'm like, Maverick, what are we doing? So it's just like, I just feel it. Like, something about the way this scene is constructed is done so incredibly well, and the Tom Cruise style of humor, where his mic kind of like pretends to cut out his mic, and Hondo goes along with it and is like, yeah, we've been having some troubles with Mike. I think it's so funny. I want to say this isn't on our list, and it's not really a true cinema moment, but this is my only opportunity to talk about this right after this scene when he is in the office with kind of Ed Harris's character and is like, why are you still a captain? You should be like a senator by now. You should be doing some crazy, crazy stuff. Ed Harris mentions to him that the future is coming and you're not in it. The end is inevitable. Your kind is headed for extinction. And Tom Cruise is on the way out of the door. He turns around and he goes, maybe so, sir, but not today. A, that's a badass scene. That's incredible. B, what a fucking allegory for cinema. Like, what? Like, they knew that they were going to save it. And Tom Cruise is like, I'm the movie star. Hollywood will not move aside without me, and I will remain here. And every time I watch that, I'm just like, yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that.
I mean, for cinema and for Tom Cruise, like as an action star, I took it more that way. It's just like, you're done, dude. And it's like,
that's fair.
Not yet.
Not yet.
And has anyone ever asked Maverick if he wants to do those things? They're just assuming like, hey, you why aren't you, higher up in the ranks? Is like, there's certain personality types that just like to fly and they don't want to be in charge of everyone or whatever. I don't know. I
just want to be behind a desk. That's not Maverick.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so like, does he even want to do or have the authority to do the things that people are like clowning him for? So,
right. I mean, he is a very highly decorated captain. He does make that a very specific point. So next on the list, I have Great Balls of Fire at the Hard Deck. A1 name for a bar on a Naval Academy base. That's just incredible. And the Miles Teller Riz is unreal in this scene. It's just unreal. It just flies off the screen.
This is honestly one of my least favorite parts of the movie.
No,
I think
man!
Like, so dumb. Like, you cannot find a group of 20-year-olds like, you know what I want to sing right now? Great Balls of Fire. It's like, I got it like in Top Gun, but like now in 2023, it's like, you're telling me I don't know, man. Like, maybe, but it's
it's a movie, honestly, Ben. Just believe it. It's a movie.
It is a movie, but that's like the throwback that works the least for me, where it's just like, okay, guys, this was like a little too far. Like, you're not getting some 20-year-olds to sing this song. And
honestly, I think it was just so we could get the cutaway of him playing
100%.
like his dad, and boy, did they, like, I know we talked about how good of a casting Miles Teller was, which he absolutely is, but they made him look so much like Anthony Edwards. It's wild. It's pretty trippy. So they did a great job casting that role. I think his some of his emotional like climaxes aren't necessarily like the best payoff, but but I think overall from a look and a feel standpoint, that's what that's there. Plus it's, it's exposition for all of that's where we meet everyone, right?
Yeah, exactly. That works really well.
It's a little looser, but like I think the money shot of Tom Cruise half crying out the window because he sees Goose.
Yeah.
And you get the tone setting with Glenn Powell's character. You get the tone setting with Bob and Phoenix and everybody really that we come to know. And I think that does work very well in this situation. I think it's some really, really good one-liners. Bob just munching down some peanuts. A1 stuff from Bob there. And I found myself when I was watching this, I was like, you know what? I don't really want spinoffs and I don't really want other things, but like, this would be fun. This would be fun to just like hang out with this group of people once a week for 10 weeks and just like watch them go on missions and like watch them be at Top Gun. Like that would be really cool. Like that very specific group of people, not a different people. I want those very people. I think they're pretty cool. Next on the list, throws out the rule book. Literally. I think that part is funny. I don't know about you, Ben, because now I'm on the fence, but I like it because he's like, this is everything you should know. And then he literally throws it in a trash can. It's just like, Maverick is back, baby. We're doing things by his rules.
We saw it coming.
Yeah, exactly. That works for me. It's funny. It's like Amy Poehler and Mean Girls, it's like, I'm not a regular mom. I'm a cool mom. So it's kind of like that. Like, I'm not going to be a regular instructor. I'm going to be a cool one. But I would expect no different from Maverick. Like, I believe him doing that, 100%.
And also, this is a probably pretty impossible mission that probably don't apply. So there's some relevance there as well. But yeah, I saw that coming from a mile away.
Yeah,
for sure.
Won't get fooled again. Dogfighting montage. This has to be an all-time great montage. I think the use of the song is excellent. This is, I distinctly remember this. This is the snippet of Top Gun Maverick that they played in IMAX ahead of whatever movie, like 2 or 3 months ahead of Maverick coming out. And they were like, go see this movie. You get an exclusive look at Maverick. And they played this scene, and I turned to my friend, and I was like, the movie's going to fucking rip. That is awesome. Like, that scene is so cool. And on a huge IMAX screen, it just hits so much differently. I think this is great. And seeing Mav back just, like, picking people off one by one. Like, he hasn't lost a step.
Yeah.
He's probably better.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, this has some of the most amazing footage and some fantastic scenes. And again, kind of continuing on from the bar where we get like to meet these recruits and kind of see what their personalities are in the sky, the whole, like, why do we call him Hangman? Like all that kind of stuff. And it sets it up for later on, what Rooster's like when he's flying, that he can be just reckless and get tunnel vision, that kind of a thing. And it just helps the payoffs later on.
Yeah, I mean, I think, this is a brilliant looking scene. And this is kind of what I was talking about at the beginning when I said planes and technology have gotten so much better since 1986 that they can do shit like this now. And it's a whole different experience. I mean, you think, and plus Tom Cruise is a fucking producer on this. So of course he's going to have his 2 cents. Yep. He wasn't going to do this movie if it wasn't going to do all the things he wanted it to do. And because it's his legacy as much as anyone's. And so, it's an intense, fun scene. It's hilarious. All the music cues, all that shit works great. And I'm just thinking of, like, I can't remember which Mission Impossible it was, but the one where he was hanging out outside of a plane, where he's like holding onto the side of the plane. Like that's a real stunt that he's doing, and all of this stuff. So like he's done all this shit before, so this is like second nature for him. But I'm just not surprised. Also, Jerry Bruckheimer has been doing this shit for decades as well. And he has dozens of movies that are similar to this. So he knows it, like I said at the beginning, it's a perfect formula for fun and entertainment. And they did a great job.
Yeah. Hit it out of the park. I feel like easily could have been something that was maybe a little more phoned in, was a little more formulaic, was a little more whatever the case may be. And even though it is pretty formulaic, I think they figured out a way to make it work. The first mission training, when they all start figuring it out, and the realization, what is so great to me is like this realization of Mav saying like, here's what we got to do. And everybody's like, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Like it just can't be done. And I love that this movie tells us exactly what we're doing. Tells us exactly how we're spending the next hour 15 of the movie is doing this literal thing that we just walked you through. I think is a really good storytelling device, especially in this case, and seeing how everybody like kind of reacts to that. I like that scene quite a lot. Any thoughts on the first mission training scene?
I think it does a great job of like explaining to the audience in terms we can understand, like between the visuals and stuff. It's like, okay, so they have to like go down, you know, and then like pull up in a way that like no one's ever done before. Like to hear what are arguably some of the best pilots in the country say it's impossible. It helps us realize like, oh, okay, this really is like gnarly. Like it's not just kind of like, oh, this might be a little tough. There's like, no, you can't do this. So yeah, I think it helps set the tone.
Yeah, I agree. It just establishes the limits of what you're doing and what you thought they were going to do. He just like X's that by 5 and like, no, it's 100 feet. Sorry.
Yeah.
And, like you think about that and it's just like wild. That's like on the other, you know, it's just that is not far when you're flying that fast.
No,
not at all.
And under 2 minutes or whatever it is. So like, it's always fun. And that's where you kind of start seeing them become a little more serious about it. And, you know, they start talking shit and you know, the push-ups thing, right? That's the thing, right? Where everyone gets to do the push-ups and, you know, you got the young version of Iceman basically there the whole time who's, you know, let's put a wager on it or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously comes back to bite everyone in the ass. So, but yeah, you know, I love montages like that. And just, I always call them getting better sequence, you know, getting better montage. Look at us get better quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Big time. I can't remember if this is the scene that leads into what I'm going to say, but I might be jumping forward a bit. I don't know. I really like the part where they start to get very, very serious, and we get that big interchange between Hangman and Rooster where they're basically figuring out, like they're sussing each other out, and they're just trying to figure out who's the leader, who is going to do this. And Hangman's not backing down, obviously. But what I like most about that particular exchange is Mav constantly pushes them towards the realism side of things and is like, how come you didn't make it? And he's like, well, I didn't go fast enough. And he's like, what are you going to tell their family? What are you going to explain to them why they are not here? And I'm like, oh shit. And like, Ben, to your point, that's just putting it in our perspective of like, okay, if they don't do this, that's it. Like they literally die. It's not like, you just didn't do it, back to Top Gun, see you tomorrow. It's like, no, you're goner, which I think is really a moving part in the movie. Talking with Ice in his office, next one I have on here. This is good. And I like this, and I thought they found a sublime way to work with Val Kilmer. We've talked about the documentary Val on here before, Ben, and how Val Kilmer essentially barely has a voice and you know, has a hard time moving and acting, obviously. And this was just done with so much class, so much nuance, and the exchange we get and the humor at the end. I mean, that's Mav and Iceman. Like, that is true to who they are, and it gets me every time, man. It does.
What this scene shows me, honestly, is like how good of an actor Tom Cruise is, because he's the only one literally talking until like the last, you know, 10 seconds or so. But it's just like, it is him just responding to text that we see on screen, but there's still so much emotion behind it. It's like, this is a big dumb summer blockbuster, like fast planes, you know, all that kind of stuff. But for these 5 minutes, you're just like, holy shit, he can act, can't he? Like, he's not just like the stunt dude. Like, Tom Cruise can get you, you know, like, even as I was watching, like, man, he's good, flash. Man. Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, this is the scene for me. You know, the visit with Ice, man, it's just so brilliant. The feats of what they're doing, not just what you were saying, Ethan, physically getting Val Kilmer there, you know, having him still be a powerful figure without saying anything. I obviously, I guess he's talking on the computer through most of it, but that's still a super effective way because he's straight to the point as well, just like Maverick was to his team, right? He keeps pointing. He's like, what do you want to do? Talk about work. He's like, anything but that. He's like, what can I do for you? He's like, let's talk about work.
Yeah.
Let's get this going. And he knows his time is limited. and yeah, just what Val's dealing with in his real life, and how they were able to complement that, have the emotions of, Iceman and Maverick that were really only there at the very end of the first movie, right? You don't really see this like big emotional journey and all these people loving, and respecting Iceman, and that's the only reason he's there in the first place. But I think this scene really, to your point, Ben, talking about how good of an actor Tom Cruise is, this really shows the burden, how heavy the burden of on Tom Cruise it really is, like his emotional battle with Rooster, like who's the best pilot is like, not who's the best, so and then like you said, Ethan, the joke at the end is awesome, a great payoff. But this is probably my favorite scene. I love this scene.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. I gotta ask you guys, Ben, you mentioned it at the top, we're going to the montage of dogfight football. What are the rules of dogfight football? And even if they get explained to you, do you think you would understand it? Do you think you could play? Because this game looks nonsensical to me, if I'm going to be honest with you. It's ridiculous.
It looks crazy in the best way, where it's just like 2 games of football at once, offense and defense from both sides at the same time.
Let's make a team.
And I think it functions. It does what it's supposed to do. I mean, maybe it's like even, some of the exposition here is very like, you guys, this is what we're doing. And this is one of them, but I think it's effective because it's like he's explaining to John Hamm's character. It's like, you told me make a team. Here's the team. It's like, all right, yeah, that's like Ham might think like, oh no, we just need to be like studying or whatever. And it's like, no, sometimes you need more than that to actually like trust someone, to get along with someone, whatever. So I don't know if I could play it. I have no idea. I do like that they're all like in jeans for some reason,
of course.
like playing this on the beach. But yeah.
I think it's also just a mental break as well for them, right? Like more than anything than, seeing themselves as a team is super important, but also just not having to worry about the shit that they're going to have to do in a couple days.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Miles Teller vibe in this is unmatched because you get that incredible like body jostle that's in slow-mo. That's just like, that's pretty awesome. John Hamm's character's name is Cyclone, by the way, which is an A1 pilot name. I like Cyclone. I think that's pretty good.
He's a good dick too. Like he plays a good dick.
He does.
Some of their exchanges, like when he's like, you're supposed to train these people on how to do it, and Maverick's like, and to come home.
Yeah.
And John Hamm just like looks at him. It's like, oh shit, like that's not the first time we really know that it's like, oh, maybe they're not worried about that, as much as like just getting the bombs there. That's it. They have some good exchanges.
Yeah, we didn't mention it, but when Mav gets his first talking to about like, hey, you went below the hard deck, like that's not cool. and then he's like, you got to submit in writing your training every single day. And Mav hands him papers and he's like, what's this? He's like, written permission or written request to lower the hard deck, sir. I lost it. I was just like, let's go, Mav. You did it.
Yeah. Or even later too, when John Hamm's like, I got, do I risk my career? Do I do whatever? Then the guy like turns to Maverick. He's like, I think it's a hypothetical or theoretical question or whatever. Yeah. It's like, you don't actually have to answer that. So.
The same thing happened with Ed Harris at the beginning, right? Like, he's in these meetings a lot.
So funny. Oh, man. So I love it. Coyote goes into G-Lock. Phoenix and Bob get hit by a bird strike. I wanted to put this one in there because this is kind of, at least to me, the only moment of like fear that we get in terms of like, we're probably not going to be able to do this. Like this might go south. And also like, it's kind of that haunting trauma that Mav has where like he's talking to Phoenix and Bob and they're like, wow, that was a great run. We did it, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, oh shit, bird strike. Like it goes south real fast. And like immediately after they save Coyote from going into G-Lock and essentially almost dying. And that is startling, and I think it plays a large emotional role, but I also think it's really pivotal for the movie to kind of like pull the rug out from under you in a moment like that, where it's like, hey, this might not be as gravy as you thought it's going to be.
Yeah. Yep. Without a doubt.
Yep. 100%.
Mav runs the mission, and then I pretty much just have like the final 30 minutes as one scene on here because that's kind of like how it shakes. Mav does it and just pulls up and is like sets the counter to 215, and people watch and we're just losing our minds. God, guys, what do you want to say about the final 30 minutes? I feel like there's so much to say. It's so good.
You want me to go, Ben?
Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, no, that's probably the most intense scene of the movie for sure. Obviously doing the mission itself gets pretty intense for sure because that's reality, but like proving it to them that it can be done. Like people, he's in the other room raising the ceiling to 500 feet, and he sets everything up, and it was edge of your seat. It's beautifully shot. The setup was awesome. The payoff was amazing. I do want to ask you guys, is there a reason, like, why wasn't him being team leader the plan the whole time? Like, that seems like that is a logical thing they should have done right at the beginning of the movie. Like, hey, you're the team leader, but they still need to know all this other. This movie could be exactly the same, and he's the leader the whole time, I think, for the most part. So it's just kind of like, why?
Yeah, it feels like a cyclone, like just pride, I guess. It's like, well, no, I'm not gonna let him, but you're right. That's like, teach them also you're going to be flying it. It's like, okay, cool. Problem solved. But this scene, the running the mission scene. Some of my favorite stuff that I noticed in there too is just like, when he's like getting more G's or like making the turns, like you hear him breathe in those moments, it's like, that's a guy that knows what it's like to fly these planes and like how to not pass out and to hold your breath. And that's the kind of stuff that just brings this realism to it. So one of the most intense scenes of the movie before it kind of becomes a Mission Impossible movie for the last half hour.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, how do you feel about the fact that basically once Mav crashes and then Rooster comes back and saves him, we're pretty much in a Mission Impossible movie for like 10 or 15 minutes, and I don't know about you guys, but like whenever Tom Cruise decides to move on from the Mission Impossible franchise, like this seems like it was a pretty good application for Miles Teller to be like, you know what, I might slot into that role pretty good. I had a blast. I thought that was a great like tonal shift for the movie, and I thought it was really, really fun. Adam, did you kind of fly with that moment? No pun intended.
Absolutely. No, I mean, it was fun. Of course, they're not going to kill off the two main people. Especially, like when he comes up on the radar, they're like, F-18 and like, what? Like, how does this, like, we just thought you were dead like 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course they're not. And so they kind of probably have to tack on something like that, I guess, to kind of wrap it up. But I thought it worked, and it gave them that moment at the end that they could mimic from the first movie where everyone gets off the plane is waiting on the deck for them. I don't know. Can I talk about a few things that I thought didn't work in this movie?
Yes, please.
Most of these are pretty small complaints, and nothing really ruined the movie for me. But there's definitely a level of cheesiness here that still exists. I think you have some great one-liners like you were talking about, Ethan, but you also have some just, you can't be serious, and like you can't be, and they're flying by Coffin Cliff.
Coffin Corner.
Yeah.
Well, and because like they're in the final moments, and they're all in like that war room, and Warlock is like miracle number 2, and then John Hamm is like they're on Coffin Corner now, and it's like,
Corner,
bro, come on, like let's just have some fun.
Yeah, no, that kind of stuff is just kind of part of being a blockbuster like that. But for me, honestly, the part that I thought I was expecting more from was the Goose Maverick emotional relationship. Now, obviously, they have it on the tarmac, and they have their arguments in the classroom, but like they really try and play off that Rooster is really mad because he like held him back from the Naval Academy. Not that he killed his dad, when obviously him killing his dad is something that they never really broached what his real emotions about it are. The closest we get to are when in the Val Kilmer scene, and we see Maverick's side of it, but we never really see Goose's side of that. Maybe a little in that 10-minute scene, like at the end that you're talking about, like they kind of have a little bit of closure there, but like overall, like for it being such an important like character like contrast, I thought it would have been a little heavier towards talking about Goose, or just like I don't know. I think Maverick does his side of it, but Rooster, I feel like, could have had a lot. There's some lost moments I think that they could have had there that could have ramped up the emotions even more.
Yeah, I was watching it the first time. I was surprised that they came up with another conflict. Like, I think blaming this person for your dad's death is like enough, you know what I mean? Like, and they can come to the realization on that and everything will be fine. But to also throw in like, he pulled my papers, all that kind of stuff, like, it's fine. Like, it worked, but I just don't think it needed to be there.
It's all forgivable, but it's just something I thought I'd point out since we're gushing about this movie.
Yeah. The other thing is, man, he calls himself Maverick a lot in third person as he's flying. It's just like, eventually it's like, all right, man, like,
we get it.
We don't have to do this.
We know who you are.
I don't know. I think the pulling the papers thing, I think it ultimately works for me, even though it is kind of, exactly what you were saying, Adam. Like, do we need another thing? Like, we have it sitting at our doorstep. Why, we have this conflict already. But I think that moment we get between Mav and Jennifer Connelly's character about him saying, like, I don't want Rooster to like blame his mom for pulling the papers or like anything like that. I just think it's more emblematic of like Mav as a whole. His personality tries to be someone who is the solution to everything, and he doesn't know how to not be that person. And I think this is a really big indicator of that, when like he could have just let it happen and then they would have resolved this eventually, but he couldn't just leave it at that. He had to try to go out of his way to make sure that he personally felt like he was doing something to help the situation, even though it wasn't. I think it adds a little extra layer, but I do think like, if you would have just focused on Goose's death, that would have been fine. I think we would have been okay, and we didn't need anything extra.
Well, and like their relationship is pretty damn harsh through this whole movie. Like outside of like the last 15 minutes, like it's pretty like neither of them are really breaking, right? They're not really, neither of them are talking about their feelings, especially to each other. And so like, there's, there's hatred there, it seems like, but also a job to do. So you have to kind of finesse between the both of them. But like, I feel like one of the main characters, emotions and emotional battle that they're fighting, just could have used a little more screen time. So
for sure.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys this. Almost makes $1.5 billion at the box office. Legacy sequel some 30 some years later. We've got a new crew in there. We've got some young guns. We've got Miles Teller. We've got all kinds of exciting things for the Top Gun franchise. Does Paramount keep going? Do they make another Top Gun movie? Adam, do you think they're going to / do you want them to?
I don't know. Is Tom Cruise in the movie?
Yeah.
I think it's a great like, this has to be, the checkbox of like Tom Cruise has to be in it, and I think that's the only way you can do it.
I think that's the only way Cruise would let them do it, maybe. But I don't. It's fun. They definitely set it up for that to happen. Do we need it? I don't know. They definitely have the money to do it now.
No kidding.
So I would be surprised if they didn't do it. But I kind of stopped asking the question, "Do we need it?" a long time ago.
Yeah, I'll save my thoughts on a chat that we had on our other pod, Palcher. That was basically my whole fight against Joker. I was like, we don't need this, you know what I mean? But you made a good point. It's like, we don't need any movie, you know what I mean? Like, we don't need any of this. So yeah, I don't know that we need it. But yeah, if Cruise is there, it feels like he's to a point like he'll only do stuff that he really believes in. So I'm like, if he's going to show up, then it's like, okay, then it's like he feels like it's worth our time to watch. So if he's there, I'd be there.
If you're a producer on a $1.5 billion movie, you get to do pretty much whatever you want.
Yeah.
So. That's what I'm saying. Give us 8 or 10 episodes on Paramount Plus. Penultimate episode 9. Tom Cruise comes back, makes a cameo, hangs out at Top Gun. Episode 10 leaves it open for a season 2. Like, I feel like there's a lot of cool things you could do there that absolutely feel like a modern day money grab, where it's like, we're making a Top Gun show and people groan and then they watch it and they're like, you know what, not so bad. But who knows? I'm really curious to see what Paramount does with this. I will say the exceptional box office success of Top Gun Maverick probably covers for the massive loss that Babylon had for Paramount. So It all evens out in the end. All right, let's do our last thing. We ask our guests and ourselves on every single episode to talk about a favorite Oscar winner throughout history. We generally choose a different category depending on the movie itself. This one we're choosing editing because there are some dynamite editing features in this movie. So this year we've got Top Gun Maverick, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, and Tar up for this award. I want to know, Adam, who do you think is going to win this year? And then if you have any throughout the years that you want to call out, any wins that you like, snubs, losses, whatever it may be.
Gosh, I didn't do enough research for this, guys. Sorry.
If you need time, I can go through mine
yeah.
if you want to.
I can also go through mine.
Do it, yes.
I just pulled up the Wikipedia page like 6 minutes ago, so I'm right with you, Adam.
Yeah, I must have missed this part on the notes. Sorry.
No, it's all good. So I in my predictions went with Everything Everywhere just because that is kind of the wave that's being ridden here. But I wouldn't be upset about Top Gun Maverick, and honestly, even Elvis. Like Elvis is like Baz Luhrmann editing, and it's over the top.
Sure.
But like it's intentional. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I think it's well done. As far as throughout history, some of the recent ones that I think deserve some recognition. I love Sound of Metal. I think Dunkirk is it's the make or break in the editing, since we have like 3 different storylines going on. For better or worse, people like that or they don't like it, but I think it works really well. Mad Max Fury Road. Basically, anytime you can mention that movie, you have to do it because I think it's just a fantastic movie. Something I saw recently for the first time and loved, Titanic. I don't know if you guys have heard about this movie, but it's really good.
Small indie flick, right?
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I'll send you guys a link. It's pretty good. And then modern stuff also, or I mean, like maybe the sign of the times was The Matrix. The editing that they were able to pull off in there is pretty astounding with the technology. And then last but not least, I have to mention just one of my favorites of all time, Jaws, because so much of that is built around the editing, I think, with the fact that like Bruce, like the shark didn't work. So it's like, all right, what do we do? Like we got to make it work. And a lot of that is found in the editing that they did. So that's a handful of them. But I think some that definitely deserve a shout out.
Absolutely. Love that. I think a couple that I would put on my list, Raging Bull, is a huge one. That one back in 1980. That was one they showed me in film school, specifically some of the fight scenes that you had never really seen in a movie before. The black and white, how they did everything. I think the musical one, probably my favorite. If we're staying with Roy Schneider, I'm All That Jazz is like one of my all-time favorite movies, let alone a musical. And that movie is so wild. It's truly original film. And the way they edit it is insane. I love some of the ones that you said as well, there. I think you could easily throw in someone like Oliver Stone and JFK, because that's a 3-hour epic and similar to Baz Luhrmann, where it's intentional. Like, his like miles of footage that he has every time he finishes the movie is insane. And sorting through that, especially with that movie with so much shit going on and so many different cast members and sides of the story that you're trying to keep up with, brilliant movie and brilliant editing in that one.
Did you guys cover that on your pod, A Damn Movie podcast? You covered JFK?
JFK, I think we did, yeah.
Because I think that was the reason I watched it. Is I listened to your guys' episode. I'm like, okay, I need to check this out. And so I watched it after that. And that's like, that's a great movie. And like you said, the cast is, what a cast.
Yeah.
I have a lot of similar ones you guys stole from me, namely Raging Bull. I was like, oh, Ben didn't put that on the list, but Adam, you can have it. I'll give it to you. Raging Bull is amazing. Jaws, Titanic, I put Mad Max Fury Road on here, but I didn't put it specifically because The Big Short lost to Mad Max Fury Road, and I do love Fury Road as much as the next person. I have a special place in my heart for The Big Short. I think it's an excellent film, and Adam McKay is a real mixed bag for a lot of people, but I think the editing, especially in that film, I think is just some of like the coolest stuff that I've ever seen, and that's that very Adam McKay style that goes with it. And I wanted to shout out The Social Network because I love Social Network. Whiplash for editing.
Talk about Miles Teller.
Unreal. Speaking of Miles Teller, speaking of Damien Chazelle, I think that is totally something
Whiplash.
that without that, Whiplash. Without that editing style, it doesn't work, right?
They're editing to the music, yeah. I mean, and they're editing, and it's such quick editing, and the masterful ending to that movie of saying everything without saying anything. It's a fucking brilliant movie.
So
Yep. And then last one I wanted to put on here was Argo. I like Argo. I think it's great. Apparently people don't like it all of a sudden, even though it did really well at the Oscars. I love
it. I think it's
a
great.
great movie.
Yes, thank
Ben
you. Ben
Affleck is awesome behind the camera.
He's a great director.
He's very good. And I'm excited for Air coming out in like next month, right?
Oh yeah, that looks good. That's right. He directed that. I forgot.
Yeah, looks pretty good. Back behind the camera, so that's pretty exciting. Any closing thoughts on Top Gun Maverick, on the Oscars, on anything before we get out of here? Adam, you got anything left you want to get off your chest?
No, man. Thanks so much for having me, guys. Really appreciate you both. This was an awesome conversation. I'm excited to sit down and watch the Oscars coming up in about a week or so.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm glad you came on. Do you want to let people know where they can find you in the Deep Dive podcast?
Yeah, Deep Dive Film School. Look for us, search for us anywhere you listen to podcasts. YouTube and Instagram are our biggest social follows. So, Instagram. But honestly, YouTube's really the one you want to go to. Hit that notification bell, all that stuff. So appreciate everything. And you guys continuing to ask me to be on these shows. It's really fun.
Yeah, we're stoked to have you here.
Thanks for coming on, Adam.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this was a blast. Look at that.
Love to see it.
Got a
real fan. Now we'll be back for an actual A24 movie next week.
There we go.
Please invite me. I would love to.
That'd be sweet. So everyone listening, let us know what you think about Top Gun. Do you think it's going to take Best Picture or any of the other ones that it's nominated for? We are on Twitter and Instagram at 24 minutes of A24. Also, you can see our beautiful faces on YouTube. Same thing. Just look for 24 minutes of A24. Subscribe, notification bell, all that kind of stuff. We will probably be going live after the Oscars. So, find us there for our immediate reaction. I am Ben Lawhorn.
And I am Ethan Simi. And as the legendary, immortal Tom Cruise, Mr. Maverick himself, says, the savior of cinema. See you at the movies.
See ya.